Hello everyone, my name is Alex and I am with Love Boldly's Q&A panel titled Asking for a Friend. It is here that we address the questions that Christians may be uncomfortable asking their LGBTQ plus community members regarding faith, sexuality, and gender identity. Today's question is, do you think it is needed, necessary, or mandatory for affirming allies to come out in personal support for the LGBTQ plus community? And if so, what do you think would be the most respectful and helpful way to make that announcement? My answer to this question is a little bit yes and a little bit no. So yes, I think it is important. I think it is needed. I think it is crucial, quite frankly, for affirming allies to publicly support LGBTQ plus people. The reason for that is pretty frank, actually. I believe that that Christians have the blood of young LGBTQ plus people on their lips. Like, just to put it as frank as I possibly can. Suicide is a real risk for young LGBTQ people, and statistically, non-affirming adults in their lives, most often due to religious influences, are the reasons why young LGBTQ plus people choose or resort to suicide, complete suicide, unfortunately. And so it is crucial that that Christians who are affirming are vocal in their support, because it is also true that one affirming adult in that young person's life could be enough, and is often enough, to keep a young person from completing suicide. So absolutely, it is important. It is necessary. It is needed. It is mandatory. It is critical that affirming Christians or Christians who affirm LGBTQ plus people, I should say, are vocal in their support, because it will save somebody's life. But it's for more than just young LGBTQ people who are wrestling with their faith and trying to find their identity. It's also a wonderful thing for older LGBTQ people as well who identify as Christian, to know that we are seen, that we are loved, that we are valued. It gives us encouragement. It warms our hearts, right? To know that we are not always being pushed out or pushed away or having to fight for a place in the Christian community because we are LGBTQ+. And to also know that we are not fighting alone for that space whenever we do encounter obstacles or pushback to our inclusion. An example of that, I have an aunt who travels for work, and I don't see her very often. But a couple weeks ago, she posted, or I guess a few days ago, really, she posted a picture on Facebook of some sort of rainbow picture, and the caption said, "Happy Pride Day." And it put a smile on my face. It's putting a smile on my face right now, because she's not someone I've ever talked to directly about who I am or my journey, but every once in a while I get a message from her. I see something like that that she's shared publicly and unapologetically and without shame, that shows me that she supports me and my family. And that's important. It's also important that LGBTQ plus people hear and see those things more directly from affirming LGBT, or from affirming Christians in their lives. One example of that for me that never involved a public announcement was from my dad. I came out as trans some number of years ago, probably 7 or 8-ish, and he and I never really talked about it. I told him what was going on, what was happening, what was changing. He said okay, and that was kind of it. But then suddenly, maybe a year and a half or so later, He sent me, no, it must have been, had to be like 2 or 3 years later. He sent me a card for Christmas that said, to my son and his family. And that told me that he had fully accepted and was willing to affirm my life, my identity, myself. And he had never said anything to me that was offensive after I came out necessarily. He didn't send me a card. His cards were just more like generic. And when I saw a card that really truly spoke directly to his affirmation and love for me, it meant a lot. It was really significant. And so there are times when some of that quiet support can be very, very touching. But would it be lovely if there were more public support in addition to the quiet support? Absolutely. So I think it's important that affirming allies, affirming Christians do in some ways come out in support for the LGBTQ plus community. As far as, a respectful and helpful way to make that announcement, I think the most important thing that you can do is to not think of it as an announcement, because it's not about you, and most announcements are about the person making the announcement. This is about the people in your life who you love and support, and you want to be there for. What's more helpful is that you see the LGBTQ people in your life, you see them and their journeys and their struggles and their anxieties, and their celebrations and their joys and their understanding, and you know when to speak up for them. You know when to stand with them, but you are careful always not to speak over them. Give us a space to speak for ourselves. Give us the platform. And if we say, hey, I'm tired, I'm hurt, I'm exhausted, I'm emotionally drained, I can't do this right now, say, that's okay. I will stand in this space with you. I will speak on your behalf in this moment. I will advocate for you so that you don't always have to do it by yourself. So you don't always have to fight for space on your own. And that can be incredibly relieving. And that is the purpose of community, right? Is to be there for each other, to stand when someone else can't stand, to sit when someone else can't sit, to be present in the midst of pain and in the midst of joy, is to be in community. So those are my thoughts on that. For more answers such as these, and for more information on how to submit questions, to also interview additional asking for a friend responses, visit our website at loveboldly.net.